Radio in motion program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, ready, here we go.
Radio in motion.
All right, thanks for joining me tonight on Radio Emotions 90s Drive. I think when it comes to 90s rock, I think it's a great mix, and like I said before, it's when MTV still, ruled the airwaves as far as the authority on really diving into the idea of talking about music and all that's behind it and the creativity of it. And I don't mean something like The Voice or Australian Idol, and I'm not knocking those shows, but they're just reality shows. And again, funny enough, it was MTV that pioneered and paved the way for reality shows, which unfortunately I think in the end was sort of their undoing. But yeah, the 90s were great because there was a place to go. And that was MTV. If you were, nuts about behind the music, those were the shows for you. But that's all right. But now we're gonna have another episode of The Ugly Truth, and the ugly truth is, okay, maybe this isn't necessarily the ugly truth. The truth is AI, a subject that I've talked about before, and definitely. Be sure to check out my earlier episodes talking about AI in all the facets of how it can help, how it can hurt, what's reality, what's possible, what's a bit of us just panicking, and when it relates to the job market, I think that is something that's not necessarily cut and dry, because there are different types of roles AI can take on in the job market as far as doing the job of a human. So tonight, though, I want to talk about AI when it comes to creativity, and especially talking about movies, Hollywood, filmmakers and actors, and certainly a lot of what they're feeling, and a lot of it is valid as far as their concerns about not just AI, because there are already so many ways to make money off someone without them knowing it. I suppose that's one of the core concerns, especially for an actor, taking their likeness, using their voice, and you think, oh well, they're just money hungry. That's their stock in trade, okay? It's like if you invented something, you came up with a great barbecue sauce, you came up with a logo, you came up with a car that ran on water, whatever you've invented, that's yours. Well, they own their likeness. They own their voice. Those are the talents that they use to make a living. So, as far as AI in the movies, I wanted to talk about that a bit. Is it the threat that we think it is? And I think, there's a lot of panic around AI, and I feel sometimes, and I'm possibly helping to exaggerate it, but sometimes it is a bit exaggerated. Every new technology in film has sort of sparked fear. Sound. I think, a lot of young people would have no idea. By the way, I'm not that old that I was born into a world of silent movies. But yes, there was a time when film was just that. It was film. And there was the old guy playing the piano, and it would just be, funny little images on the screen and people dodging trains. Yes, there was a time when the movie did not have sound, did not have dialogue, let alone music, except for the aforementioned piano player, which is hilarious. So sound was something that probably a lot of people would push back against, and you can imagine a movie without sound. And then, of course, special effects in general and CGI, any sort of, digital enhancement, digital cameras, moving away from film. Even that was a big one. And there's probably some people who are diehard believers that film should be shot on physical film stock. And as much as I love photography, I'm someone who's in that world. I'm not so obsessed with having to carry around a bunch of camera equipment in my bag, or to just carry, honestly, and I'm going to be honest, on Android and iPhones, the lenses and the digital, photographic capturing. No, it doesn't replace like an SLR camera. That's about the lens and about the more of the mechanics than just the film. But what I'm saying, the digital world can capture an image in amazing sharpness, and you don't necessarily need the film. But again, I'm saying all these things were, in their time, something that people worried about. And this is just part of it. It's just another cycle sort of repeating itself. And look, so talking about the use of actors, images, and voices, I mean, look, using someone's likeness or voice, this is a new rule. This isn't something they have to crack down on that's something that's not already out there. It's just more advanced now. Obviously, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you can't steal someone's likeness. But now, yes, it is easier, so I can understand. They had their strikes and the unions. And again, you have to understand this is their livelihood. It's understandable that they would be stressed about how easy it is and accessible by everybody, not just someone in $1 million studio, okay? Everyone who has access to any application, and if they themselves are an excellent artist, and yes, it still does take the human to drive the tools, yes, you can certainly, and as you've seen if you watch YouTube, so many clips going around of actors, actresses, and voices, movie scenes that are getting so scary and so real. And again, it's actually fun to watch them and see how close they're getting. So again, that's that part of it. And again, there's already laws around that. They'll just have to start to be very specific. But again, that's more of a legal contract evolution than an existential threat. But again, that is, yes, one way that AI would be creeping in and possibly be able to not necessarily replace an actor, but someone could unscrupulously use it. Or on the flip side, if an actor, actress, and I'll be honest, I would say anybody who's ever worked for Disney, any of the Star Wars characters, any of those actors have definitely, and if they haven't checked the fine print, they've sold their likeness over for sure. And James Earl Jones, his iconic voice will be used for a long time, and I am sure that was with his consent. That's a whole different thing. If there is anything that you consent to and you're happy to lend your face or voice to be manipulated and used without you, then that's different. Then we get into the area of then AI and CGI and all that technology is just a tool. And it's a tool that's used to help the artist enhance what they do, an extension of what they're doing, rather than, an artist drawing or painting. Again, they're just using tools which are nothing new. They're using Photoshop. That's been around for ages. Okay, Photoshop didn't come alive and do it for you, but now it can. So yes, that's I know it's a slippery slope. As far as AI taking jobs versus AI in creativity, look, I'm not going to lie, and I've talked about this before. Job displacement is happening, but again, that's a separate discussion. I've always said that's that's tantamount to, the Industrial Revolution. That is, someone handcrafting and stitching clothing, knitting a sweater, and taking, 2 days to do it, as opposed to all the machines and the cotton gin and like I say, the Industrial Revolution, the machines. Yes, absolutely replaced, thousands of people. But again, did we not evolve? Did we not say, well, okay, who really wanted to do that anyway on mass production, by the way? Yeah, I think grandma can still knit a sweater. That's lovely. People can still retain their creativity, and I hope that does get passed on. I don't think that's been lost. But when you're talking about trying to create 1 million sweaters for the world, or the Ford factory and the assembly line, again, which would have been revolutionary and scary to the workers, but again, it's just a natural evolution to mass production, okay? Especially something like the assembly line. You couldn't have churned out all those cars way back in the day, and of course, Ford leading the way in that sort of thing. So, yes, humans are going to have to evolve into a way to find, and again, if this is all just about making a living, yes, again, that sucks. Going to have to evolve into finding ways that we are needed, because I still believe, AI cannot replace us as a whole. We're more than the sum of our parts. We're more than our brain and our creativity and our soul and our hands. AI is nowhere near that, okay? It's bits and pieces at the moment, and it's tools. So again, just the job market, yes, that is certainly happening right now. But when I'm talking about the creativity of that world, and that is definitely movies and writing and production, everyone who's involved in a movie, thousands of people are involved. I think that no, that's not happening overnight. So yeah, the creative replacement, it's a different question from automation. Automation happens. AI didn't start that. We did that to ourselves. We started automation. AI as a creative force, now that's a different question. And that is, I think it's progressed very fast in the past few years, in the past year, honestly. But when that happens, like anything, it's moving so fast, it is going to hit a point where it's going to plateau, and it's not going to keep going up and up until it's a sentient being that takes us all over. I'm sorry, that line is a different path. I don't think that's going to happen for a long time, at least I hope. Unless we're all in the Matrix now, then that would explain a lot, actually, it really would. But if we're not in the Matrix, then it's all right. But creativity is a whole different thing. I still think right now it is used as a tool. It's not the creator. Yes, I know. It is creating movies and scenes, 100%. You can tell whatever the engine behind it, ChatGPT or whatever engine that is driving it. Yes, you can say, make this movie. Set the premise, Again, it's still not that easy. We're talking a lot of human input still. But can it take it from there and make these clips, make these movies? Yes, it does. And yes, some of them, they look pretty good. Is it going to replace the kind of emotion that we see from a movie? The I would hope, the writing that still comes from a place. And now this is where I'll talk about sometimes they do it to themselves, because, and I am going to point at Disney or a lot of the big studios that stopped being so focused on creativity and the small movie with heart, and they just look for the cookie cutter. They want to make $1 billion. They'll spend $1 billion, but they better make $2 billion. The whole Marvel universe, it was a double-edged sword. They saw the formula and they thought, oh, well, let's just keep repeating it. That's not creativity. That's trying to please everyone, and you end up pleasing no one. So my point is in the past few years, sadly, I think the movies have lacked creativity. That's not to say it's not out there. That's not to say there's not humans that are still not trying to sell their story and make their movie. I just think Hollywood, to their own detriment, has been ignoring these because they only want the sure bet. But again, in other videos I've talked about, the sure bet isn't working anymore. So yeah, to talk about the creativity portion, I still think that's something you can only get from a human. The writer is drawing on experiences, writing a story. Maybe that is a veil for something they experienced. Maybe it's something about their home life or their mother and father or some sort of childhood trauma, or happy moments, the happiest time from childhood. But they said it in medieval times, or they said it in outer space. That's the creativity, but they still draw on something. I think all of them. Yes, sometimes it spawns just from the imagination, but I'm going to be honest, as a human, even if you're not sure where that's coming from, it's usually linked to something that you feel or you've experienced. So that's the part that I think AI can't draw on. All it does is, like I say, it's just a difference engine. It's just a regenerator. All it's doing is sometimes it's just crap in and crap out, okay? Garbage in and garbage out. When you ask ChatGPT or Grok or something a question, it's just scanning every human idea that's already on the internet that we put there as a library, okay? All the AI is doing is it's sitting in the middle of, picture a vast cathedral of a library of books and information, and it's able to tap into every book within milliseconds. That's all it's able to do, is turn it out quicker than us, rather than you sitting down in the library and reading a book and going, this is fascinating. And then you can take inspiration from that. That's all it's doing. I'm sorry to say. It is not creating. It is taking our ideas and recycling them. That's not creativity. That's not the spark of AI yet. That's not it being sentient. It is only interesting because of us. It only has interesting ideas because of us. It's just able to parse that data faster and spit it back out. And sometimes it spits it out horribly and confusing. And it does lack, I'm sorry to say, the human touch, knowing about the perfect cadence of a scene and how to speak a line, which only actors can do. And I'm sorry to say, something as simple that I'm passionate about it is humor, which again, I think we're destroying, comedy and the pure relevance of, the human condition is hilarious, and the whole cancel culture thing, cracking down on comedy. Anyway, my point is that comedy is such a pure thing that we can all experience. And I'm sorry, until I see the first AI comedian that gets out on stage, hey, did you hear, take my wife, please. I'm not going to be impressed unless it's it's just hilarious. But yeah, even something like humor, that is an inherently creative human brain that is able to look at a situation and have the comedic timing, or you don't have to be a comedian standing up in front of an audience, but of course they're great at it because they have that talent. But anyone who's funny, or you're talking with your friends, yeah, comedic timing, I think that's a uniquely human trait. And so all these things about creativity, I don't think AI is there, and I don't think it can produce it. And if it did, I think something would be off about it. That's why, especially with a lot of the AI videos and deep fakes and stuff, it's that, I call it uncanny valley, they say, and because it's not quite right. There's something weird. AI doesn't understand our mannerisms and movements, and I don't think it understands our mind. It's not human. It's not us. So yeah, creativity, I don't think AI is there, and it's not going to replace humans in that department yet. And so as far as, but I keep hearing it's on the cusp of becoming sentient. We're almost there. And again, I feel like that's a lot of people like me from Gen X who just probably wants it to happen, to go, I told you so. I told you. John Connor and Sarah Connor told you. Don't make friends with AI because Terminator's around the corner. Remember that a lot of the people pushing that are hyping it, because why are they motivated to show you where they're at with it, to increase its value? if you want to invest in AI and you're a savvy investor, you're going to invest in the company that says, well, we're on the cusp of, oops, oh, it just happened now. Yep, that's it. A sentient being. Well, there it is. Oh, it's running around the office. It's running around naked, going crazy. AI is self-aware now. Of course they want you to think that, because the company promoting it, they have all the AI incentives. They want to increase the stock prices, okay? Hate to get too deep on you, but you have to think about that. Are we as far along as we think we are? Just because you see these videos and you're using ChatGPT and you think it's amazing, and they keep saying we're on the cusp of the spark of life, remember why they want that, okay? To boost their company's valuation, to attract investors. It's AI marketing versus, real world capability. And I also talk about the actual infrastructure limits. I tell you, I don't know if they're going to be able to create enough data centers and rivers of liquid cooling to sustain all this AI. I think people are going to start to run into where AI is like stalling. And that makes me sad too. Again, that's a whole other issue. That's a whole other environmental issue, because again, AI consumes a lot of power and requires huge data centers and computers, as you know, get hot. That's one of those things we can't get around in 2026 to this day. They get hot, folks. The human body does too, but we're a miracle of evolution, aren't we? So yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to construct enough data centers to keep up. But yeah, all in all, AI is a filmmaking tool. I think it's just that at the moment. It's a tool. It's an extension of the filmmaker, the creative person, the artist. It can help them, and this is a bit sad too, if they're not going to be able to make their movie because their creative idea has hit a wall with costs. And in the past, big Spielberg movies and all the Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T. and even Star Wars, they are becoming harder to make because the world, unfortunately, inflation is out of control. So it's not as easy to go out on location. It's not as easy to go to that desert you want, to go to the tropical scene. Even something as simple as the movie Predator. I mean, one of the biggest characters of the movie beyond Schwarzenegger and Predator was the jungle where they shot, and then the background was amazing and visceral, and they put the actors in it. And if you ever watch the behind the scenes of that, it's fantastic. The actors were struggling. They're like, I'm hot. This is Africa hot. And bugs attacking them. But the thing is it's all on the screen. Their emotion and their stress, and when they're acting, they're out there, they're hot, they're in the jungle for real, and they happen to be being, chased by a predator hunting them down and killing them. I'm sorry to say, I feel you still get more out of actors who are using their imagination, but when you put them in the jungle and you as the director say, okay, picture you're in a jungle. Okie dokie, I am, and it's hot, and I want lunch. You're stressing me out. Good. Use the stress. Use the stress on screen. Okay? I think movies are better for it. But my point is that might be harder to do these days. So the filmmaker can use AI as an enhancement, not replacing the actor, not replacing the writers, not replacing everyone, but the backdrop, if they can, and they do. The show Mandalorian from Lucasfilm was a huge one of that, rather than the old-fashioned blue screen, which again had its limits and certainly had its day. The technology of screens, as you know, with TVs and LED and the displays, are becoming so lifelike and advanced. They build these huge screens, and in the old days they used to be huge film projectors projecting on the screen behind them. Gave it a bit more reality again, rather than blue screen, which is a green or blue background where they add the image later to get super nerdy, which I am about films. Now, yes, they can put the actor by just calling it up on the computer. You're in the jungle, you're in the snow, you're in the ocean, you're in space. That is pretty cool. And if it did save you money, and it saved some money for the theater to discount their tickets a bit, and you could actually take the family to see the movie because it didn't cost $100, then everybody wins. You see what I'm saying? So in that way, I don't mind that it's a tool that can get the movie made, and it didn't replace the creativity of anyone. Didn't replace the actors. Didn't replace the idea. But yeah, that's all I really have to say, is that I don't think it's replacing us yet in a lot of realms, including creativity. And as far as movies, I still think it's a filmmaking tool, and I do hope it stays like that. Would an audience care if they really went to the jungle, like I say, or they really went to the mountains and the snow? If they can't tell, they probably won't. Again, it's a bit sad. But if you watch the movie and it's still a real person, and the background looks as real, but the story's amazing and the emotions on screen, I don't think people will mind. But again, that's just the nature of things. So anyway, those are my thoughts on AI in the movies. And, let me know what you think in the comments when I put this up. And like I say, AI is certainly a subject I enjoy talking about, and I might have a new one for you in the next couple weeks for sure. All right, coming up next, we're going to have more great music from our 90s drive tonight on Radio Motion. And we'll be right back after a word from our awesome sponsors.